Greetings from the county line. We're back here in the tractor shop. My grandson, Grant Robb, stopped by on his way home from work. He's over in Lafayette. He's an apprentice electrician, learning how to do the whole thing, making good money, great benefits. We talked last week about some of the opportunities that this program's presented him. He tried college for a year and found the college experience boring. So now he's working for a living and got a great work ethic. If you're a grandpa, there's no greater joy than to have your almost adult grandchildren stop by and just visit. It's a wonderful experience. So I'm delighted to have you here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for coming by. Like you said earlier, it's a beautiful day, and why wouldn't you want to be out here?
Yeah, no, I love the drive out here. It's shorter from work to here than it is from home, so it's kind of enjoyable.
How long have you been driving to Lafayette now?
It's probably been since around February.
Same route every day?
I've been taking a different route recently. I've been going 1150, so I get kind of close to you guys, where I just take country roads the whole way. And it's kind of boring, very much so, especially in the morning. I just,
Because you're not awake yet?
Yeah. And on the way home, it's, I'm going back to sleep. I'm tired. It's a whole process, trying to keep myself up, trying to pay attention where I'm going.
What do you do to keep yourself entertained?
Just my music, I'll play my music. If I get too tired, I'll roll down the window, let the wind blow in my face for a while. I try and, make things somewhat interesting, where I've been trying to keep, like, an eye on what roads I'm on, because I've realized that as a person with a phone that's never had to use like a paper map before, I don't know what roads I'm on ever. In Kokomo, if you're a Kokomoian, it took me forever to find out where like Dixon was. I knew what Sycamore, I knew what the street Sycamore was, but like if you told me to go to like Washington or anywhere, I'd be completely lost. So that's been a big thing for me, as I'll cross a road and I'll be like, oh, that's 300 north, especially with the country roads. It was about like a week ago, I got into my car from work and I realized that I left my phone in the job site. They had already locked the doors, so I couldn't go back and get it. And I immediately went into a panic because I'd been at that job site for about a week and I had just started taking that route and realized that I had to basically go home on pure instinct. I started driving.
Like a homing pigeon.
I made it the first 20 minutes and then I went straight on a country road when I should have turned right. And I kept going, and the country road became gravel road. You
knew you were screwed then.
Yeah, it started pathing, and then it became a road that was more like one lane. And that's when I realized I need to cut my losses and, drive about 20 minutes back just to get some bearing on where I was. Finally, I got back to a country road that I knew where it was somewhat. I made a turn, and I finally found, the road that I knew exactly how to get home from. It was 30 minutes behind from where I thought I was, so I still had like a 40-minute drive left, but...
So, are you still having to use your map system to get to work after all these months, or are you able to negotiate by yourself?
Yesterday was the first day that I did not have to.
Man, you gotta be, I'm so proud. That's awesome. Yeah.
I came up with a simple route for it. I know a couple of the road names. I still need to remember most of them. But
let me ask you this. First of all, there's an old military trick that I've never been able to make work, but they say that if you get sleepy, you could tickle the roof of your mouth with your tongue to make it itch, and that's supposed to keep you awake. It never has worked for me.
Yeah, that's just more weird.
Yeah,
I feel
it is
like.
kind of weird. And secondly, I should stop you as I have questions, but I didn't really want to interrupt
You're
your
good.
narrative there. I think the fact that you turn around when you realize that you're going the wrong way is a sign of genius. Because so many people today, they know they're not on the right path, but they just keep on going. I don't know whether they're stupid or stubborn or determined or whatever their thing is, but they just keep plodding ahead on the same course until they run completely out of gas or blow a tire, and then they don't even know where they are. It's a sad situation. So here's my third question to you, grandson. Do you think all this technology is making us stupid?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it has helped in a billion ways, but I think in a million other ways it's all the bad things that the old people are saying it is. It's shutting us off from society. It's making us rely on it 1,000%. Because if I can look something up or get some info off of my phone, I do not need to store it in my brain for any reason. With human contact, there's so many instances where to get out of like an embarrassing or awkward situation, I'll just stare at my phone, where in turn I 1,000% think if I had just, dealt with it, without staring at something or being avoidant, it would have, whatever embarrassing, awkward, anything would have ended up 1,000 times better.
How so? You would have kind of faced that challenge and learned to deal with it better?
And it's not even with a lot of things, but, social situations where instead of, saying hi to somebody, some people just look down at their phone when passing somebody by. You can just say hi, and it's.
That doesn't even sound like you.
And it's not, but it's people that are around, people that pass by, people that, are everywhere. And I'm addicted to my phone, but I very much tend to be on it when I'm not around people, because I feel like it's a major distraction and it's almost disrespectful when around people. But, other people don't see it that way, Well, you'll go over to somebody's house, have dinner with them, and somebody can just be on their phone the whole time. They'll have a conversation, but, there's no eye contact, they're not really there.
What were the rules in your house growing up? Because you've had devices pretty much your entire life.
Yeah.
How did your family, your parents, deal with that?
So, I'd say a lot of it was put into designated family time. We were allowed to be on our screens and, do things. And I guess when I was a kid, it was TV. We'd be on the TV. But when it came to dinner, we were all sitting at the table. We couldn't sit on the couch or anything for stuff like that. And then we'd have the TV off just so we could be talking with each other. Maybe Fridays, when we'd have pizza, that's when Dad would turn on America's Funniest Home Videos or something like that. And then Friday nights, that's when we'd have a movie night as a family. We'd all sit together, watch something. And we'd talk, but if we talked, that's when Dad would get annoyed. He'd pause the TV. All right, I'll wait a second. But yeah, it's definitely give and take. We're on our screens and we are addicted, but we do have to have time with other humans, and keep kind of what, is as sad as eating dinner with your family being a tradition, we have to keep it like that instead of.
I'm glad you said that. Because I absolutely agree. That time is very important, and because you've been at my dinner table, nothing annoys me. My sister,
Yeah.
the lawyer, she has to know every stinking thing. So if you're talking about Christopher Columbus at the dinner table, she wants to whip out her phone and get all the details so that she can be better informed. And my brother has a rule that if more than 2 people pull out their phones, it's time for me to go. Because something's just wrong with this party here.
And it's things like that. Some of my favorite conversations are where, I'm talking with somebody and we're trying to figure something out. And then, 10 minutes will go by and they're like, we got phones. Why haven't we looked this up the whole time? And then we just keep talking about it. It's...
What kind of things do you and your friends talk about when you're not online? What's important to you?
I guess this weekend, me and my friend Garrett, we had our girlfriends over and we were fishing. And a lot of the conversations, it starts off as small talk, just how's work, how's all this. And then I guess with fishing, it can either be silent for hours or it can get really deep where we're talking about our life and, what things that are actually going on and how we've been. It's, I don't think our conversations are, super intricate. We're not talking about all our deepest problems ever. I don't come to him saying what's wrong, but we come to each other, expecting that, we're here to have fun and we're...
Yeah, fishing's great.
Yeah.
I didn't know you fished.
I don't even own a pole. My friends will just take me out and we'll go. It's fun. I'll have to show you the picture of the stuff we caught.
Where'd you go?
Small stuff. The ski lodge near Champagne Shores.
Okay.
He's got like a key for access.
Oh, he
there.
does?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Did you catch anything?
Yeah, we caught a bunch of small stuff. Nothing big.
Throw it back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there wasn't.
You don't eat that much fish, do you?
No, he cooked for us like one time, and it was good, like the fish that we caught. And then there are like a couple fish in that little lake that I think are invasive, so we'll just like throw them into the side, but we didn't catch any of those over the weekend. But yeah, no, I love fishing, just being able to cast out, sit, hope for the best.
The last time I went fishing was about 1974, I think.
Dang.
And that was because my friends had beer. So I don't remember what we talked about, but I'm sure it was pretty much meaningless dribble.
A good time, though, and it's memorable.
I guess it was a good time, but I never fished again. And there's fishing poles upstairs in the barn, and I never bothered to use them. But you're right. It's a quiet time. You can be quiet, or you can talk, or you can do whatever comes to your mind. It's great.
Yeah.
It's like looking at a campfire, I think. Watching the water go by.
They say it's things like that, especially for men, that allows us to have conversations so much better, where it's not where we're looking at each other the whole time. It's where we're sitting side by side, or like...
What do you mean, especially men?
I feel like I read it somewhere where it talked about like father and son conversations go a lot better, like when they're sitting in the car together, or they're going on a walk somewhere, because they're not, having that eye-to-eye contact where it feels so much more serious. And, I don't feel that way with you.
No, I get it. I like to talk to people in a car, because you can look out the... You don't even have to look at them. You can look out the windshield. Or the campfire, is another good example, I think.
And like the the dead silence, you know, it doesn't feel as silent, you know, when you're just off staring.
Good point.
It's,
So, you think you admit then that there's a difference between men and women? Is that what you're saying?
well, yeah.
So, yeah, which brings us to the Boy Scouts. Your little sister, who we both love, was one of the first girl
pioneer.
Boy Scouts in
Yes.
Howard County. One of the very first. What do you think about them letting girls in the program, becoming so woke, if I can use that term, without offending anyone here?
You know, I don't think that's anything that I'm against, you know, especially something as mundane, not as mundane, but, you know, you're not, I guess there just aren't specific things at that age range that a boy can do that a girl can't do right now, or that the boys are doing, you know, that's inappropriate. We got to keep girls out of this, you know.
Boys Club, yeah, I get that.
Yeah. You know, there are other conversations where I think that, you know, girls are physically different than men, you know. Things like Olympic sports.
And emotionally.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and, you know, I don't know the exacts.
I mean, you got two sisters.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Who would know better than you?
I know that they're in anatomy or whatever, their running hips are wider. They can't run as fast. They physically cannot run as fast. So I think younger ages with, like, you know, the mixing of the boys and girls, it's completely, you know, fine.
I mean, having been a Boy Scout and having been a Boy Scout leader and having raised a daughter, it seemed to me that boys have different developmental needs than girls do.
Yes.
And, and it might have helped if we had girls in Boy Scouts at the time, if we had female Girl Scout leaders, I suppose. But, you know, boys and even men require different things throughout every stage of development in their lives, and to try and replace those values to make them homogenous is a little ridiculous.
I feel like adding women into the mix of that isn't ruining anything, you know, for the men. I think that, like, you know, boys, like, especially, like, not especially me, but, like, when I was growing up, like a little kid, I thought girls were a completely different species, you know. Growing up around my sisters, you know, I had contact with them, you know. I'd play with my sisters all the time, but it just felt like they were, you know, they'd act differently, they'd play different than me, you know, and they'd want to do different things than me. But it's, you know, as you grow up, it's all about learning to work with each other, you know. And Boy Scouts, you know, sometimes you just got to learn, you know, to work with somebody.
Okay.
If it's the annoying
Good
kid
point.
or if it's the girl.
Take your point. Sure. Makes sense. Never looked at it that way. Thank you. So you're a very thoughtful guy.
As you.
Well, thanks. I remember a story about you sticking up for some kid on your school bus that was getting bullied. You've always tried to live by the golden rule and wanted to do the way you want to be treated.
I try. It's definitely, I don't know, hard to stand up for myself, you know, and hard to speak a voice, especially when, you know, I'm a scrawny dude, you know, people are a lot bigger than me, but I do believe...
You're tall.
Yeah. I do believe to say the right thing, but I also, you know, try and keep myself out of as much conflict as possible.
I mean, where I'm going with this is that it's easy to live by the golden rule and want to do unto to others when everything's being done for you, when you're a kid.
Yes.
But you really are an adult now. And do you feel like you got to start looking out more for yourself?
It's been a whole thing where, I'm trying to become more responsible with everything that I do, and it's an aspect that I have to keep in mind for a lot of things, where, I'm an adult, I'm doing things, people like could see me as a role model. I'm not saying that people do, but like I've got little cousins, I've got, family members that, I talk to and I want to respect. I don't know, I think that as I'm growing older, I've really been trying to, try and show my worth and try and prove to others that, I can be a man. And, I'm not saying that I am, but I'm saying that I'm working towards it.
What do you think the standards are there? What does it take? How many hills do you have to climb before we can call you a man?
I think once I've moved out, once I'm on my 2 feet, I think that'd be a big step for me when I can officially say, I've done it.
When you're completely independent, doing your own laundry,
Yeah.
paying all your own bills, that's the standard now.
Because, I don't feel like a freeloader, but,
Well, so how does that all gel with the golden rule then? Because you feel like now, as on the cusp of full independent adulthood, that the standard is independence, where all your life you've lived by this standard that you really need to look out for other people and sometimes even put themselves first. So how does that fit into your list of priorities for, qualifications for manhood?
You've made a good point. With the golden rule, I tend to treat people, I treat people with respect, and I try and treat people very nicely. But as I was talking with you a bit earlier, I don't seem to tend to treat myself with the same respect, and that can go for, reaching into manhood. I feel like I can be, very giving to others, and that can affect how I can operate. If I give and give and give, I don't have as much to give to myself, whether that be with money or time. I try and be helpful in all the things that I do, but then at the end of the day, it could be emotionally, with my time or, physically. I'm like, how am I going to do this today?
That might be one of the biggest tests of a man, to be able to balance all that. How much do you give and how much do you keep for yourself?
Yeah, where do I set that line? That's been, I don't know, a goal for me to try and find, where do I set this boundary of being, nice, but not too nice,
Well, boundaries are important in any relationship. I don't care who you're talking about, whether it's me and you, or you and your girlfriend, or me and your grandma. Boundaries, you got to have boundaries, and everybody needs to respect those. And you also need to stick up for yourself.
Yes.
Always, because you're no good to anybody else unless you take care of yourself first. But on the other hand, you won't feel. No sane human being is going to be able to walk all over people and take it all for themselves and be able to sleep at night.
Yeah.
And people that do that aren't men. Aren't even grown up. I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like people that I don't believe in karma or anything, but I feel like people that are like that, they've got something out for them, people that are going to be dicks to other people, you know, they may get punched in the face eventually.
Well, every time at the library, there's always a lot of unfortunate people that congregate there, especially in the winter time. And every time I see them, I'm reminded of what Jesus said. Whatever you do to the least of me, you do to me. And I don't know, and I try to be like Jesus. So if I don't treat people well, generously, charitably, lovingly, at least smile at them. At least put my phone down and say hello.
Treat them like a person.
Is that how I want to be treated?
Yeah, like with homeless people, you know, if the people that, you know, don't wave back, like I've read interviews from, you know, sometimes they just want to, you know, get a smile, get a wave, ask, you know, how you're doing. Everybody wants to be treated like a person.
Everybody wants to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
Here's a little experiment I started trying. After I learned to smile, which hasn't been that long ago, I'll walk through the grocery aisles and just flash a smile at people. And it's amazing to me how many people will actually speak to me without any other provocation. I'll just smile at them and they'll say good morning. And it is so cool, really. It is just so cool. And I think, you know, I don't have to hand them $10. That's an act of charity.
Yeah, no.
All right, well, I guess we got to move on with our day. I'm sure you want to get home and cleaned up. Thanks again for stopping, man. This is so cool.
It has just been an amazing time, I'll tell you what. I've loved every second of it.
I love you.
I love you too, Grandpa. Thank you.
Hey, that's it for us today, folks. God bless you. We'll see you later.